Hey guys, how we doing? Welcome back to another video. This one we're talking about the Ricoh GR-D. That's the Ricoh GR Digital. This is the #1 first in the series of Ricoh digital cameras. Very old, came out in 2005, but it was made for street photography and other snapshot photography. It works great for that, and I'm going to explain it to you. And by the way, real quick, I've said this in a couple other videos, want to make sure you're aware. The original Ricohs say digital on them. A lot of people have a problem with this when they're buying them on eBay. They see a $250 GR and they think, oh, that's great. I know it's not a $900 or $1,000, GR3, but I can go with that. And they order it and they realize, wait a minute, this is a very small sensor. I am going to do a video on the differences between these two just for the heck of it. And that will be coming out, but let me put the APS-C back over here and let's talk about the digital. And I'll tell you how I came about this, by the way. Something a lot of you may be able to relate to. I was on eBay looking for a Ricoh GR1, which I do have over here. However, at the time I was looking, I went through all the listings and it said you couldn't really see the digital. They had the way the photos were, and they had it listed as the APS-C sensor version without having APS-C in there. Everything else, all the other specs. And so it looked like they were trying to get over, but I'm a seller on eBay and I understand the rules and the regulations and you can get your money back. So I thought, I'm going to take a chance on that. At the very worst, I would have a Ricoh Digital to review for the channel, which I'm doing right now. So there we go. So I ordered it. And sure enough, it showed up and it was the digital and it was not the APS-C sensor version. Fortunately, I covered my tracks because before I ordered it, I specifically asked, is this an APS-C version? Yes, it is. That was the only time he said it. So I had that as a backup. So I knew I have to keep checking here, make sure we're on the air. So I knew I was covered. I work at a radio station, as you can see. It's 4th of July, having a good time here and cutting videos and making sure they're staying on the air like I'm supposed to. Okay, so back to the camera. It turns out the retailer from Japan is such a big retailer on eBay. He did not want any sort of negative feedback on there. Not even the point of, hey, they took care of me and they did this and they did that. They didn't want any of that on there. And they asked me, please do not review and we will just comp you the camera. They refunded my full amount. I think it was $300, which I knew was too much. And I took that, I found a Ricoh GR, which I told you about, and that'll be in a future video. And you can see the street photography video from the original GR. Great photos, that you can check that out. Nonetheless, I then purchased that. This version, which is not an APS-C sensor version, it's a, like I said, a 1.18 whatever version. It's not one I would honestly say, go buy this camera if you don't have any other camera. Now, what does that mean, though, if you want to play? Well, I had fun, a lot of fun, and came up with some great images. I've already shown a few of them here, and now I'm going to show you a few more. Okay, here's a couple of them I took in the radio station here, and I'm going to show you the really nice edited versions first. I also ran these through the new Lightroom Luminance AI, so you took out all the artifacts and all that stuff. I'm not going for prize-winning photos here. I'm not trying to sell these. I'm not trying to blow them up put them on a wall. I'm just throwing them on Facebook, throwing them on videos here. You'll see more of the detail on the videos than you would on Facebook and everything. So, what you see, artifacts and things like that, most people are not paying attention to. Most people that, you always have to look and see what's going on back here. Most people that will look at these online, they don't care. So, that's where you start having fun. When you lose that whole factor of, oh, these got to be perfect, then you can start having fun. Here's a few outside around on the circle here. And here's the finished product, this guy. Now here's the a color version, which is pretty nice. Here was the original version, okay? Now you see huge amounts of noise, and I took that noise out, left it color, and then I went back to black and white. So I think the color version kind of works, and I made the colors a little subdued there. Nonetheless, you can play with these and have fun with them. Now, for street photography, okay, now for black and white, I did shoot a few strictly just black and white JPEGs, and that's where people say this camera really shines, and I agree with them. I never shoot JPEG out of the camera, but I did with these. Did I also point out that this is a maximum aperture of 2.4, so you don't get a 2, you don't get a 1.8, anything like that. If you shoot something very close up, you can still get some bokeh in the back. And here's a shot I took of the board here on macro. Check out this macro shot. I think it's pretty cool. Look how dirty that board is. That's insanely bad. But nonetheless, very cool, sharp image, right? I like that. Okay, a couple other nice things about this little camera. It does have snap focus. Of course, any Ricoh user understands snap focus, but it is the full snap, and so I don't really like it. I just shoot with the autofocus, and it works fine. The autofocus is pretty good. I mean, not pretty good. The autofocus is really good on this. I don't have any problem with it at all. And the snap focus you can do. I think it's set at 2.5 meters, something like that. I like 1 meter, 1.5, something. I don't really like 2.5 or 3.5. Now, a couple negatives about this camera. I've heard a lot of people say, and no doubt, thanks to Ricoh, they never can get anything perfect, but the adjust button back here, you can put 4 or 5 settings up here and you flip through them and easily get to them and change your settings on the fly, which is very nice. Well, you can't do that with this because it's old, and when you push it in, it just freezes the camera, and I've seen a couple other people mention that. So the only way to change the ISO is to go in the menu anytime you need to change it. And so you kind of leave it on auto. It does pretty good with auto, but you don't know what you're going to get. So I don't like that. But nonetheless, you know, there's always got to be something on the camera that Ricoh screws up, and on this one it's the adjust button. On the 3, on the 2, the 3, and the, maybe not the 2, but the 3 and the 3X, it's got that crappy plastic wheel. It's going to screw up on you eventually. You may be able to fix it, but it's going to screw up on you. I don't know why they put it on there. Nonetheless, that's why I bought the one. It does not have the crappy plastic wheel on it. Okay, so another negative about this little camera is it takes up to 9 seconds to process a RAW shot. If you're shooting in RAW, you take the photo, it takes 9 seconds for it to buffer and store that photo. So for street photography, that's not good at all. For any photography, that's not good at all. For JPEGs, it's instant. That's why you saw those JPEGs earlier I shot. That's why I shot them, because I was getting tired of waiting, and I wanted to test the black and white JPEG, and those came out good. And they do have great settings in here for the black and white. And if you don't like the way that the JPEGs are set up inside, it does allow you to go in there and adjust those. You can change the clarity, the sharpness, the contrast, a few other little things. Okay, so built-in flash. How do we pop that flash? I never use flash. Sure, it pops up somewhere. Maybe it's got to be on. How do you get the flash to work? That's pretty funny. There we go. Wow, that took forever. Okay, so I got the flash. Let's oh, out of memory. Can't recall. Oh, well, okay, we got the flash anyway. So, okay, there we go. So anyway, it's got the very cool little flash. A lot of people love this flash, and I think it's very practical for these sort of cameras. I don't use it. Again, I showed you, uh-oh, see, it locked up on me because I accidentally hit the button back there. There we go, power that bad boy off. As I showed you the shots from the studio, I'll show you a couple more shots here I took in the studio. And I really like I didn't use a flash on these. Of course, I used post-production. I used some AI, which took away the noise. It took away some of the, well, of course, I sharpened the images a little bit. So you got to do some work with these if you're going to use this camera. Just to go out and pop some shots, and you know, it's past its prime as far as that goes. But I will, I'm sure, eventually sell it. You can drop me a line, but by the time you see this video, it's probably already sold. What do you think? Do you have a Ricoh Digital? This is #1. This is the first bad boy that came out after the film version. I'd like to get one of those film versions, but they're probably a few $100. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed it. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts if you like the Ricoh Digital, GR Digital. Even if you already have an APS-C, say a 3 or a 3X, and you just want to grab something else to play with, maybe to throw in your pocket because you don't have to worry about dust on the sensor, because who cares, a few $100, I'd go with the 1 or the 2 APS-C version. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one.